I'm going to use a poem from Jan Richardson to inspire our meditation. I invite you to close your eyes if that is comfortable for you, or lower your gaze, whatever makes you feel comfortable. Take a couple of deep breaths if you would like, and just rest. Just rest. Not to one, but to many you have called. Come. On the dancing wind, come. From the deepest forest, come. From the highest places, come. From the distant lands, come. From the very edge of darkness, come. From the depths of fear, come. Many, all are called. Come and become the bearer of God. And now, we will take several moments in silence. I invite you to contemplate your own way. What is it that is your way of bringing good to the world and bringing God to the world? Come. Come into the silence. And now, very slowly, at your own pace, come back to this room, and this time, no need to hurry. Okay. Are we back? Hello. So good to see all of you. Another day in which I am getting a whole room full of Christmas gifts. You all look so beautiful, especially those of you with antlers or are those elf legs on your head. And you might want to notice our entire tech team back there is wearing Santa thing. Can you guys and gal stand up for a minute? You do so much for us. There they are. Aren't they cute? Woo! Woohoo! Yeah, up. Could not do any of this without you. We love you. Thank you. Well, good morning, beloved Advent people. I guess this is the last time for me to say that. This is our fourth and final installment of our Advent series, A Season of Sacred Becoming. I don't know about you, but it's been quite a journey for me. I was led I would say, far afield. I was led to new places, into strange, new, inspiring territory as I prepared these talks. And as you know, there were some strange things that were probably non-conventional that I've said these last 3 weeks. And don't worry, I'll be doing the same thing today. So I just thought it was interesting as I prepared these talks. You think that you are on one track, and then Spirit, working as she does, takes you somewhere else. So anyway, here we are. And my prayer is that perhaps each of you have found some inspiration during these weeks together. And if you haven't so far, maybe you will today. That's my hope. As we have walked along during these weeks, we have, remembered that in many ways the Christmas season can distract us from the very sacredness that we seek. I want to remind us again that we can control our minds. We think we can't. I think I can't. You know, you've got that big list in your head, but we can get into that quiet place and that space with the One, even at this time of year. I want to remind us again, too, to keep in mind that this time of year can be less than merry for many people. Some of us are lonely. Some of us are grieving or ill or hurting. Some of us may even lack the basic necessities of life. But for everyone, no matter how we show up, no matter what's going on in our lives, this can be a challenging time of year. And I think everything out there wants us to forget that, but it's true. It can be challenging. A little bit of recap. On the first Sunday of Advent, this sounds like the 12 days of Christmas. Aren't you glad there's only 4, not 12? Anyway, on the first Sunday of Advent, we focused on faith. We learned that, just like Mary, we have to suspend disbelief, doubt, uncertainty in order to become newborn in faith. We were reminded that the Annunciation story, metaphysically, represents divine potential, something that is, as it was for Mary, our destiny. It's pretty easy to forget that. I mean, Mary's one thing, but it's us that has the divine potential too, but we know it's true. We studied Mary as a symbol of our human capacity to receive and nurture the seed of awareness, the awareness that we are innately one with each other and one with the divine. Mary is an example of an individual who fully opened herself to the will of God. Then, on the second Sunday of Advent, we celebrated peace. We explored whether it is even possible to have peace in this world. We are beset by injustice, bitter divisions based on religious beliefs, political positions, social status, and we questioned whether peace was indeed possible. And we learned that yes, there is a deep, abiding, internal peace available to all of us, a sacred peace that cannot be disturbed by outer circumstances, a peace that Jesus emphasized in one of his key messages. I leave you peace, he said. My peace I give you, which, as we learned, is not the same as what we may think of as peace. We look to Joseph as a model of finding peace under pressure, peace regardless of fear, conflict, or discomfort. He is an example of willing collaboration with Spirit. He is also regarded metaphysically as a protector of spiritual potential, the spiritual potential as manifested in Mary and Jesus. Last week, our focus was on love. We identified how Mary and Joseph's relationship was messy, complex, and complicated, just as our own relationships are. Are they not? Can everybody think of one relationship right now? No, never mind. Messy, complicated, complex, yes. Since our essence is divine love, we also considered how our love can and does impact the world. I was reminded of things that my mother said, and she has been gone for nearly 40 years, and I still remember things that she said and did that remind me of love. So I started to realize how it is that we do impact the world, because whatever love we give is going to radiate and it's going to continue. It doesn't die. And that was comforting to me. We also, when we were talking about divine love, we looked at some of the qualities that Mary and Joseph possessed, which we also can call upon. We learned that unconditional love is not how we interact with each other. Unconditional love is not about how we interact with each other. More significantly, it is about bringing the flawed truth of who we are to each other. We are frail, we are faulty, and we are divine, made in the image and likeness of God. But our job is to bring the flawed truth of all that with us and give it wherever we are. No one can do it except us. There's nobody else that can be Donna than Donna. There's nobody that can be me other than me. So I'm glad to know that I am flawed, because that means I'm one of the ones that's supposed to be doing this. Today, Advent people, we continue our journey together, still seeking higher consciousness, still seeking a deeper knowing of who we are and why we are here. This morning, after I had laboriously got my talk together, I realized there was something else I wanted to say, a little story to tell you, because it has to do with who we are and why we are here. This happened just a couple of days ago. For those of you who are familiar with Main Street, West Main, that goes through Kent and Stowe, I was heading towards Kohl's or Giant Eagle, whatever. I'm always at one place or the other. And I'm approaching, I'm heading west, and there are 4 lanes of traffic there, 2 this way, 2 that way. And I was in the inner lane going this way. So there was somebody here and 2 other things going that way, lanes going that way. And a man was trying to cross the street. This is right by Swenson's. He was trying to cross the street between the lanes. As he stopped in the middle of the 4 lanes, he dropped this big bag that he was carrying, and things started to spill out all over the road. And as he was coming, I was going like this. I actually let go of the wheel, and I'm like, I hope they all see this guy, and I thought he was going to run in front of us, but he stopped as his bag dropped. And so then we sat there, and I thought, what's going to happen? No one was beeping, thank God. No one was beeping or saying, getting angry. It was like this peace, this quiet peace. And everyone was going to be in this moment together. Whether they needed to be or not, they seemed to be relaxing into it. And then the light ahead of us changed, and so the woman in front of me went into the opposing lane to go around what was on the ground. And meanwhile, the gentleman ran back and was trying to get some of his stuff. I couldn't tell if he looked like everyone else. I mean, I don't think that these were his possessions. I think he may have been shopping. I don't know. But anyway, when that lady moved, I thought, should I do that? And I wanted to stay there and see what was going to happen, but I thought, I better go because the people behind me are going to want to go. And as I went around, the light changed. So I'm sitting there looking in my rearview mirror and hoping for the best for this gentleman. And what I saw brought tears to my eyes. A young man got out of his car, crossed over, and started helping the man pick up all of his things. And there was not one beep from anybody. There was not one sound. They went back and forth 2 or 3 times to get all the stuff. Something was made out of crockery, and it had broken, and they picked up the crockery, and they took everything over there. And it was just like the reason it made me cry was because I thought, this is why we're here. This is it. This is how we love one another. This is how we bring the joy. And I was so grateful for that. And I just needed to tell you that. I wanted to add that in. So anyway, the lens we are looking through today is, in fact, joy. Some folks see happiness and joy as meaning the same thing. However you define them is fine with me, but I want to draw your attention to an important distinction that I see between the two. To me, happiness is a fleeting reaction to something external. For instance, the emotion of delight a child feels when they get the bike they wanted for Christmas. That is happiness. It's situational. And the word happiness, I found out, is derived from an Old Norse word, hap, which means luck or good fortune, which kind of fits with the fact that it's a happenstance. It isn't something that you have any control over. It's just like, I'm happy. Joy, on the other hand, is transcendent. It's an internal state, and it's deeply rooted in love or connection to others, gratitude. For me, it's all those things: love, connection, gratitude. It's a deeper, but it's a more enduring state of mind. And this is very important. It exists even amidst hardship. It is this quiet thing that's deep down inside there, and it can't be touched, but it can be cultivated. We can cultivate it deep inside at any time. And the word joy comes from the Latin, and I took 2 years of Latin, comes from the Latin gaudere, which means to rejoice. So I'm not the only one that sees that distinction, I guess. Joy is savoring the exquisite perfection of a single rose, for instance, or standing on a mountaintop, surveying the world from above. Moments like that are similar to awe, and they are ones that they catch your breath and you drink them in with quiet gratitude. I feel that, for me, it's everything that makes me just either go, or just to go, oh, and say, thank God. Like, for instance, whenever I see a deer in our yard, it takes my breath away. I'm so filled with gratitude. Joy is so deeply rooted within us that even grief cannot touch it. Years ago, when an ER doctor told me that my husband had just died, my first thought was, oh God, it might have been better if I had never met him, because this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt so bad. And I don't want to go through that pain. But before that thought was fully formed, another thought came, and it came with a rush of joy. It was, I wouldn't have missed him for anything. I wouldn't have missed this marriage for anything in the world. And that is joy, if you can find it at such a moment. Here is one more example of joy. The great composer Beethoven loved the poem Ode to Joy, which at that time wasn't a song, it was only a poem, and it was written by Friedrich Schiller. And he had always wanted to set this to music. And he played with it. You know how you try something for a while, then you set it aside? He did that for 20 years. He kept looking at it and thinking, well, I don't know what to do with it, but I want to do it. And eventually, it became the final movement of his exquisite Ninth Symphony, his most beautiful work of all. And all of this was composed after he had become profoundly deaf. He never got to hear his own beautiful music except in his head. Someday I think I'll do a talk just on Beethoven. I found out so much, but I'm not going to do it now. But he was ill and angry at this point in his life. He was grief-stricken, poverty-stricken. He had even been taken to jail as a vagrant because he wasn't doing very well, and now he was deaf. Yet deep inside, he found joy. He could not have written that. He could not have written it without digging into a reservoir of joy within himself. And then he brought so much joy to the world that this Ninth Symphony is still very popular, delighting audiences throughout the world more than 200 years later. The other thing that is so amazing about this, he insisted on being the one to conduct it in this theater. And there was all kind of rancor going on. The musicians were walking out, the singers. This is the first time a chorus was brought into a symphony. And the singers were, getting their egos out of hand. And then he said, I am going to conduct this. It's mine. We will not do this if you don't let me conduct. And so the conductor they had in mind was there, and he said, sir, if you don't mind, I'll just stay off to the side in case you need anything. I'll just be here. Will you accept that? Because he knew that Beethoven would not be able to keep exactly on time in his conducting because he couldn't hear it. He couldn't hear quite where the musicians were. So they did that. When it was finished, he was still sort of conducting. He didn't realize it had ended. And the lead soprano walked over to him very gently and turned him towards the audience. They were crying, they were screaming, they were all jumping up and down. And it was so beautiful. And he did all that at one of the lowest points of his life, joy. Are we getting the idea that joy is not situational? Yes? This is good. So, before we look in on Mary and Joseph, you know that I'm going to go back there. But after that it gets even worse. Before we look in on Mary and Joseph, I want to draw your attention to the fact that today is the day we celebrate the solstice, the winter solstice. Last week, Andy Sachs came up to me after church and asked if I was aware of that, and I said yes, and he said, are you aware that the moment of the solstice on that day, today, is at 10:03 a.m., so he said, right when we get to church, it's happening. So happy winter. Joyously enough, this is the shortest day of the year. I mean, as far as Christmas shopping and stuff, that's bad, but as far as wintertime, it's short, that's good. And then I thought maybe I should be talking faster since it's a short day, but I probably do that anyway. So this struck me, the solstice. I was wondering how it fits with our theme of sacred becoming. The arc of these Advent messages, as I mentioned the first time, was designed to kind of go from darkness to light, and from uncertainty to new life, from human frailty to the birth of the divine in Jesus and Mary and Joseph's life, and our own too. But so then I'm thinking, well, we began the first week in darkness and confusion, and we're supposed to be drawing closer to the light. And I thought, well, how can we do this? Because today we're in the darkness. And so I thought this was counterintuitive. We are entering darkness today. We are entering winter. But actually, every day after today is a little bit longer, so that means we're having more light. So it works, right? I'm not a scientist, but I figured this out. So we are actually gaining light and having less darkness starting tomorrow. So that's how it is. When we last met with Mary and Joseph, they had discovered or developed maybe, a singleness of purpose, a shared understanding of their mission, and a commitment to love one another. They learned, as I learned many years ago, that love is not necessarily a matter of what one feels, but is an action. It's a choice. Loving is an action, a choice, and it's still true today. Today, we find Mary and Joseph drawing even closer to their destiny, which is to birth love into the world. That's all it is, just, birth love into the world. But this is also, by the way, our destiny. It is our destiny. And after all the emotional ups and downs of the past few months, Mary and Joseph have now settled into a tranquil domestic life. They are filled with the anticipation common to parents to be. Perhaps Joseph is making a cradle for the expected little one. Mary might be sewing tiny garments for her baby. But then, as often happens in life, a monkey wrench gets thrown into the mix. Biblical scholars differ as to why the couple would travel to Bethlehem within days or weeks of Mary's giving birth to Jesus. It may have happened because of a decree from Caesar requiring all citizens to register for a census in their ancestral home, which in Joseph's case was Bethlehem. Or it may also have been that they were led to Bethlehem to fulfill the scriptural prophecy that Jesus would be born there. But either way, they felt an urgent need to journey to Bethlehem. It must have been pretty hard to undertake such a journey, especially under the circumstances. This was no easy feat. Bethlehem was 90 miles away. Traveling on foot, especially considering Mary's condition, it would have taken at least 4 or 5 days, maybe more. Nevertheless, they set out, holding on to their trust in God, accompanied by a donkey carrying their food, water, and a few belongings. Mary probably rode the donkey too much of the time, although she must have been very uncomfortable doing so. Speaking as someone who has been 9 months pregnant no less than 4 times, I can attest that nothing could have made her comfortable at that point. Nothing. I was inspired to consider this journey to Bethlehem. Okay, here it comes. I was inspired to look at this journey through the eyes of the donkey. Now I said it was inspired. This may seem far-fetched to you, but frankly, much of what we know historically about Jesus' birth is based on conjecture. It isn't proven, so I feel there's room to include the donkey in our consideration. And especially I feel that way because metaphysically, donkeys represent humility, strength, and service, which are attributes, as we know, that Jesus, Mary, and Joseph also modeled for us. So we're going on to Bethlehem now. The donkey's long ears flick back and forth as the couple speak quietly to each other. He plods on, not understanding their words, but he is aware, as animals always are, of the feelings and moods they are experiencing. The woman is very tired, he knows. Sometimes she walks, but more often she rides on his back. He picks his way carefully, instinctively trying to avoid rocks and holes that might make her uncomfortable. He isn't sure why he's being so careful, but somehow it just seems necessary. The woman seems a bit off-center, ungainly in her movements. She pats him from time to time, speaking softly to him. She seems to appreciate his efforts, and he appreciates that about her. The donkey has great respect for the man, who speaks kindly to him and calmly and gently to the woman. At times, especially towards the end of each day, the man leans heavily against the donkey as if he can hardly walk another step. At other times, the man grows tense and worried. Are there bandits nearby? Wild animals stalking us? At such times, the man studies the donkey, knowing the animal's behavior will alert him of danger even before he can sense it himself. This helps him to relax just a bit. The donkey has no idea how long the journey is going to last. They have been traveling for several days. The path is difficult, with many steep uphill climbs, followed by equally steep, treacherous downhill treks through the valleys. He grows more weary as every day passes. Yet he takes his duties seriously. The man and woman depend on him, and somehow he feels that their journey is very important. So day after day, hour by hour, he does his best. Finally, the man brings the donkey to a halt. This must be their destination. The donkey is so tired that he barely notices the crowds of people all around them. All he wants is some food and fresh water and somewhere to rest his tired body. He has the feeling that the man and woman want those things too. And finally, in the most unlikely, most humble of surroundings, they all find rest and sustenance. The man, the woman, the humble beast who carried them to this place, in this moment they have all arrived. Their future and ours hangs in the balance. Before morning, love, in the form of a tiny child, will enter the world. But we today, you and I, are not focusing yet, not just yet, on the baby, the manger, the shepherds, and all of that. We will joyfully celebrate those sacred moments with Reverend Rose in a couple of days, as Stephen told us, and in our own hearts, of course. But today, something else is happening. Today, the angel, the very same one who spoke to Mary and later to Joseph, is right here at our door. Open your hearts, beloved Advent people, and receive the angel's message. We too are called to give birth to love and light in this world. We are called to bear Christ, to carry Christ into the world. It is our birthright, and it's our mandate from God, because we are created in the image and likeness of God. We are love, just as Jesus is. As he said, all these things and more you shall do. We're not supposed to just say what a lovely little story that is and then put the decorations away. We are to do likewise. All we have to do, and what we have to do is not easy to do, is love. Give love. That's it. It's not about confession or hell or heaven. It's about love. Love. We are called to carry the Advent story forward from this moment. It does not end on Christmas Day. In fact, it didn't even begin on Christmas Day. It begins over and over every day. So today, like yesterday and tomorrow, is the dawn of a new day. Today, we might say, is our birthday, because every day we can be born to greater love. Happy birthday. Can you just say happy birthday to each other? Just quick, happy birthday, happy birthday. Two of the people I gave birth to are here today, too. I went this far without mentioning it. I'm sorry. Okay. We can venerate the sacred Christmas story, and we do. But hear me. We are called here to be the Christmas story. The Christmas story is our gift to the world. Every bit as much as it was the same for Mary, Joseph, and Jesus. It isn't over. It's our job, too. We are Mary, grunting in pain, just as people throughout this world are enduring pain this minute, and not only with childbirth. Mary despairs, will this labor never end? And yet underneath the pain, the uncertainty of what it all means, she is focused on bringing forth love. Can we do any less? I don't think so. We are Joseph, standing by, faithfully absorbing Mary's pain, bearing witness to the world's pain, just as we do. He didn't close his eyes. He would have done anything to alleviate that pain. I always think how hard it must be for a man when his wife is giving birth, because he's pretty helpless to do anything. And yet, we bear witness to others' pain. We don't just turn off the radio, the TV. We bear witness to what is actually happening. Let's feel the joy, the presence of God underneath all of that, bearing witness that Joseph was doing, just as he did. The joy was underpinning it all. We are also Jesus, a tiny, innocent child, utterly helpless, confused, suddenly thrust from the world into one world into the next. I don't believe, as some do, that he knew who he was and what he was doing here at the time. I think he was just a baby at that moment. And yet we know that he is love, and he was born anew in our hearts and is every day. Now there's some joy for you, knowing this. Every day, love is ours. As well as giving it, we receive it. We receive joy. The power of love is entering the world now. Now Paul, when Paul talks up here, he could explain it all through a different lens than I do. But what we know is that the power of love is overtaking the love of power in the world. It feels like just the opposite. But when the power of love finally reaches that point, the love of power will begin to level off. And I really believe that. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I believe it. Love will win in the long run. That is what we celebrate. That is what matters right now, is that the world is covered with love, and it's coming from us. It's coming from everyone. We are the midwives. The boys and girls, all of us are midwives, okay? So be joyful. Let all the bells ring. We are love. We are joy. Let us all shout hallelujah, hallelujah. Let us rejoice in who and what we are called to be, beloved Advent people. Our moment is at hand. We carry the light of God in our hearts and souls. We epitomize the joy of the living God. Let all the bells ring. Let all the bells ring. Yes. This is the day that God has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Amen.